Are you ready, guys? Let's launch this thing. Alright guys, welcome back to Unlockable Character. Today we went to Advanced Auto to get a Permatex windshield repair kit. I'm going to do a how-to to repair a windshield nick I got. It's really small, but I don't want it to spread. A rock chip came off a truck yesterday. I was actually speaking to BMW. They called me, their manufacturing and design team, to ask me how it's going with my car. So today we're about to hit, I think, just under 5,000 miles. So we're gonna do a full updated review of the car, everything I've learned so far. And we're also going to do a how-to on a do-it-yourself windshield repair. So it should be a good time, guys. We are on the way to the gym right now. And when we get closer to the gym, that's when I'll actually start the how-to. All right, so let's go. All right, guys, so we did start moving a little bit. We're on Howell Mill Road. It gets so busy here during rush hour. It's just before 4 o'clock, so we're escaping before it gets too chaotic. And when I mean like it gets chaotic, it gets super chaotic. There are so many stoplights here, and the road used to be super rough. Thankfully they repaved it. That's the Shell gas station on Howell Mill. It's across from the Walmart. It has the touchless car wash, and even the car wash price has gone up, guys. It used to be $19 for the best car wash. Now it's $20. But I think if you get at least $20 of gas, you get $1 off the car wash. So quick tip there. Also, for any of the M car owners in the Atlanta area, United Roswell, the BMW dealership there, has a touchless car wash that you can use, and there's a code for it. So if you know the code, you can always get a free touchless car wash there. Roswell is not too far away from Atlanta. It's about 20 minutes north. So there's definitely places here and there. If you know, you know, like where to get a good touchless car wash. And of course, if you have a Costco membership, you can always fill up your tires with air there. I'm actually gonna lower my rear right tire just by 1 PSI because I want 36 in the back and 38 in the front. Just my OCD kicking in, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, once we start moving, I'll turn this back on. Let's go. Tell guys, I'm not trying to get slowed down by NPCs today. Car is nice and warm. We're probably going to have to get over all these lanes to cross from 75, which is this road, to 85. That's always fun, but thankfully it's not too much traffic out just yet. So quick tip, guys, is for every 10 degrees it gets hotter, your tire pressure will most likely go up by 1 PSI, and the same thing is true for when it gets colder. And recently Atlanta has gone from like 100 degrees at 4 o'clock to like 80 degrees, so it has affected the tire pressures a little bit, so I just want to make sure it's always good. On the door sills for my car, it says the tire pressure is cold, should be 32 front and back. And cold could be like, you know, when the tires are 40, 50 degrees. So I like to set them a little bit higher. Also, when you have a higher tire pressure, you will get better gas mileage, but you will lose a little bit of performance in terms of straight line speed and traction. That's why people, when they drag race their cars, they lower their tire pressures. Also, when you go on the track, when you track a car, your tires get so hot, so much heat gets into them that you probably want to run them, instead of 32 psi, maybe 27 psi front and back. When you're driving a car super hard on the track, you'll see your tire pressures go from 27 psi to 37 psi, and the tire temperature might go up to like 170 degrees, 180 degrees, you know what I mean? So luckily these cars, they give you the tire temperature and the tire pressure, which is really cool. tell we just gotta maneuver through this traffic. That is West Midtown, or I should say Atlantic Station, and then past that is West Midtown. Looks like they're setting up a tennis event. There's a huge parking lot behind Atlantic Station where they do all kinds of events like the circus, volleyball tournaments, tennis tournaments. Don't really have time for this nonsense. Sometimes there's accidents on this road. That's why people get so stuck up right when they're leaving the city. A lot of people take the first few exits to the right, so they have to go all the way from the first lane in the left to the last lane in the right. That causes a lot of traffic usually. Do not want to be behind a cement truck. He's got a closed off cap. That's funny. Looks pretty new. Usually cement trucks are really, you know, kind of nasty. So this is telling us to get on 400. So we went from 75 to 85 and now we're gonna get on a 400, but we can also go straight. So I'm just gonna see what the traffic's like and make a decision. Let's take 400, guys. That's Buckhead in the distance. Buckhead is not really connected to the main downtown area of Atlanta. That's the funny part. Like when people first move to Atlanta and they go out at night, you know, sometimes they go out in Buckhead to the nightclubs. And then if they live in like the actual city, like Midtown or downtown, people are so surprised that they have to get an Uber home and it's a 15-minute car ride. And you're like, wait a second, aren't I already in Atlanta? Like, why does it take 15 minutes to get home from Buckhead? I saw that blue Porsche Taycan all over the place today. So after the gym, we'll probably go to the car wash and then we'll do the windshield repair, just so we have a nice clean surface. And then I don't confuse the windshield chip with any bird poop on the windshield. Imagine that, guys, if I tried to fix the windshield chip and all I did was put acrylic like filler into some bird poop. That'd be hilarious. there's a sick GT3 RS up there. That's crazy. Did not notice that until just now. Look at that, guys. Is it set in black? That's crazy. Oh, dude, that is amazing, guys. What the hell? That is so sick. Jesus Christ. Damn! Wow. Old guy driving a satin black GT3 RS. That is pretty dope, but also kind of sad. I wish more young guys would be having that car. My good friend Charlie is picking up his 992 GT3 today, so congrats, Charlie. It's a manual GT3. Unbelievable. I don't think he's even 30 yet. Like, what an insane achievement. So really congrats to Charlie. It's really inspirational for me. It's motivational, honestly. The windows up and try to put the AC on blast because I know the GoPro is going to start heating up, guys. Wonder what the holdup is. We shall see. One thing, guys, if you're gonna get pulled over and you're, getting off or stopping for the cop, don't stop in the left lane. Get to the right shoulder. It's the most dangerous thing to stop in the left lane. And I've seen it a lot, actually. A police officer will appreciate if you give them enough space, like as much space as possible, like hazard lights on, engine off, like hands on the steering wheel, just chilling, you know what I mean? Windows down. I promise if you pull over and you make it easy for the officer to approach you and you make it safe, you're giving yourself the best chance to get let go, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't really understand this traffic pattern. There's no traffic or anything. But we have to take a right coming up anyway, so we'll be able to hop off the exit. Got my pre-workout, guys. If you're not on the Discord, guys, you're missing out on a lot of things. We have workout routines. I posted a German volume routine for those trying to build strength. I posted all the supplements I take. We have other guys who are super into fitness who are posting their advice. And you're missing out. You're honestly missing out. I'm still wondering why people are slowed down so much. We're in rear wheel drive, guys. That just feels crazy. Oh my God, NPCs malfunctioning as always. So we don't have anyone behind us. Let's have some fun on this down ramp, guys. All right, are you ready, guys? Let's launch this thing. That felt crazy, guys. Jesus. I will get a draggy soon so that we can measure the 0 to 60, but that was fast. And there was no slip because we were in all-wheel drive. Looks like we got something going on ahead, guys. I'll cap it here, guys. When we get out of the gym and get onto the car wash, I'll turn it back on. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome back to Unlockable Character. We made it to the car wash and it started raining. But it's all right, at least the car will be extra clean, right? We can always come back for another wash. What I want to talk about is for anyone who's getting their car, how to break it in properly, because I want to do a full in-depth review, and the rain will give us a chance to do a really chill driving review where I can talk about all the settings on the drive home. So I'm hitting the BC button here on the left, and we are at 4,006 miles. So consider this an updated review at 4,006 miles, guys. I basically had the car for like 6 weeks. That's a lot of driving, right? But that means I really know what I'm talking about. So for you guys who are looking to get your G80 or your G82, M3, M4, you know, you've ordered it, or maybe you guys have already got it, there is a break-in procedure for these cars, okay? And it's actually pretty important for the longevity of your engine. So for the first 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles, you need to keep the engine speed under 5,000 RPM, okay? And ideally you want to be changing up your driving so that you're not consistently hitting 5,000 RPM. So not just cruising on the highway, take a few back roads, but do not exceed 5,000 RPM for the first 600 or so miles. Also, do not do any kickdowns, which means instant wide open throttle where the car shifts multiple gears down by itself. And I would probably recommend not downshifting too much yourself either. You just want to kind of let the parts that are all kind of connected, like the drivetrain, the engine, the transmission, the differential, all slowly break in together for that first 600 miles. So under 5,000 RPM and under 106 miles per hour for the first 600 miles, okay? Next, for the next 600 miles up to like 1,200, you want to keep the RPMs under 6,000 RPM, okay? So a little bit more, and again, no kickdowns, no launch control, okay? For the first 1,200 miles, no kickdowns, no launch control. And I think you should just be extra careful of your downshifts, right? You can go a little bit faster now, up to 130 miles per hour from 600 to 1,200 miles. I don't know if you guys are gonna be doing that, but just point of advice, right? And right about 1,200 to 1,500 miles, you wanna schedule your break-in service with the dealership. It's gonna be free. They're gonna change the engine oil filter, and what's most important is they're gonna change the differential oil. And the differential oil on these M cars has a lot of break-in fluid, and it's super important to get that done between 1,200 and 1,500 miles. I would say really try to get your break-in service done before 2,000 miles, okay? So that's the break-in. Next thing you want to do is really set up your car, right? So when you get your car, what I recommend you really do is go in and you'll find setup in the menu. This is my quick shortcuts menu, and you can set this up any way you want. So if you want to use setup the way I have it in the shortcuts menu, you'll actually go to menu, you'll find setup in here. I believe it's under vehicle, and then there will be, I believe, driving settings, and then setup. So if you want setup to be a shortcut, you hold this down, and you can actually put that into your shortcut menu that way. So anyway, once we're in setup, I think I can also do it this way. Yeah, here you go. Here's how you add it to shortcuts. You actually go into the setup menu and you hit setup here. This setup is your current driving mode regardless of M1 and M2. M1 is going to be this red button here. You have to click it twice to activate it. I have M1 as my all-wheel drive sport settings with chassis and steering and comfort. That's because the car is already super stiff and the highways around here are super stiff, so I keep the chassis and steering in comfort for myself. So M1 for me is sequential 3, which is the fastest shift speed setting. It's manual shifting. D3 is the fastest automatic shifting speed. I haven't really tried that because I really do stick with the manual shifting, and I shift it myself with the paddles and the gear selector. So let's get out of here. While we're doing that, I can press the camera button, which is this P here, and that gives you a front-facing view. That is if you get the extra camera package, which I believe you cannot get on the M3 and the M4 CS or the M4 CSL. So that's a really nice package. I think it's Parking Assistance Plus. Not to be confused with the advanced driver system, which is the smart cruise control with an extra radar in the front. I don't have that. I recommend, if you don't generally drive in a lot of traffic, you don't need that, because honestly, that's if you just want to let your hands get off the steering wheel and chill, you know, like when you're in traffic, and just have the car do its thing. Right now I'm in 4-wheel drive. I actually have the system in track mode. That is a setup that you can go from M mode. So when you hit M mode, you'll see road, sport, and track. You need to get the M Driver's Professional package to see track mode. And what that does is it immediately turns off all the safety systems, and it also turns off this screen. So it's a nice way to get your car set up very quickly, you know, in a sporty kind of instrument cluster, because it changes the instrument cluster and it turns off the screen and it turns off all the safety settings. M mode in track mode will not put you in M1 or M2, so you need to do that yourself after getting into track mode. So if I get out of track mode, if I go into road, for example, you'll see the cluster change. This is the cluster most people will see when they're driving their M3 or M4. It has the factory navigation map in the middle, it has the speed on the left, and it has your gear on the right. The red gauge on the right is the RPMs, the blue gauge on the left is the speed. You will also get your where your fuel status is right here on the left under the speed, and you will get the, I believe, the engine oil temperature here on the right. What's cool about the BMWs is when you start them up, you will get the engine oil temperature and a blue gauge at the bottom. The blue gauge means the car is in cold operating mode. When the engine oil temperature reaches the actual optimal operating temperature, it'll turn white instead of blue. So that's how you know you can start to drive it a little bit harder. All right, so what's really cool is you can completely customize this center cluster screen. There's a BC button here on the steering wheel. Actually, not the steering wheel, the stalk behind the steering wheel. So it's called BC, hit that. And that gives you different, basically menus to go through. So that is my, you know, driving statistics in terms of how long I've been driving. So 4,007 miles, and my fuel efficiency, which isn't too good right now. Values for this trip, values since refuel, values since factory, values since individual, and you can always reset it, I believe, by holding down the BC button. So if you want to actually change what's displayed here, you will hit this button on your steering wheel, and you can flip through the route preview, the whole map itself, the setup, so you know where all your settings are for your suspension, your steering, your transmission, your engine. You can also go into engine statistics and information like your boost and your water temperature, which is pretty important. You can also see the tire pressures on your tires. And you can get sport displays getting your power output as well. I believe there's also a G meter when you're on track. You can see where the G forces are, you know, left, right, up and down. Your music, so like what's currently playing. I have CarPlay connected, so it's showing me what song is playing from my iPhone. And yeah, that's it. So, you know, what music is playing, G meter, the sport displays, the tire pressures, the engine temperature, the engine statistics, like the water temperature, sorry, and the boost, the setup, so how your car is configured currently, the complete map, that's the factory navigation. If you have Android Auto connected and you have Google Maps running, it'll show you Google Maps here. If you have CarPlay running and you have Apple Maps running, it'll show you Apple Maps here, which is really, really cool. So let's really do that real quick. So I'm going into CarPlay here, go to Apple Maps, and let's just put a destination in, like 510 Peachtree Parkway. Hit go, look at that. It actually changes and it zooms in all the way from outer space. That takes a little bit of time and it's kind of annoying, but it's pretty cool. Let me speed up a little bit so I'm not annoying that trucker. If you want that to be turn by turn, you have to click here and press the route button. That will make this turn by turn, and now that will be the full map. So just keep that in mind, guys. So I'm gonna end that route and I'm gonna go back. If you end the route and you stay in CarPlay, it'll keep the maps open here, so I can show you that again. Let's just pick a gas station, for example. Boom, it's on there. Now, if I end the route, look, it stays on there. And if you want to keep Apple Maps running, you can do that without a route if you want. So little tip there. All right, guys, let's turn the factory navigation back on. So you can go click that icon there, nav, boom. And if you put a destination in, it'll then reset that center cluster to the factory navigation. Now, iDrive 8.5 has a much nicer color scheme, as you can see, and it's much faster than iDrive 8. It's kind of instantaneous. And there's so much information in that center cluster when you use the factory navigation. You're getting turn by turn. The heads-up display is also showing you turn by turn. And it's actually really nice to use when you don't have CarPlay connected. The colors are much more easily read, especially at night. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the factory nav now. Press this red button there. Maps are still in there. And let's talk through some other options, guys. So my shortcut menu, the way I have set it up, is the Spotify in-car app, Apple CarPlay, the heads-up display to change the settings on the heads-up display, the drive recorder. I think this is a $200 option, and I definitely recommend it. If you get the parking assistant package, I think you can then spec the drive recorder for $200. It basically has a 1-minute loop of footage outside the car of all the cameras, and you can adjust the settings by clicking drive recorder and then going through there. You also have the weather app, which uses the car's data connection, and it's really fast on iDrive 8.5. On iDrive 8, it took a few seconds to load, but it's really cool. You get a full breakdown of the weather across the whole week, so kind of cool to use. And yeah, let's look at what else I have. To get to the shortcuts menu, you can flip up on the dial, like I did there, flip down to put it down, or touch the touchscreen down and bring it down. You can also bring it up. I like flipping the dial up. It's just, I think the touchscreen doesn't always register my touches sometimes. So I also have the sound systems here, the sound settings for the sound system. What's interesting on iDrive 8.5 is you can no longer code in Harman Kardon in the head unit using Bimmer code. You used to be able to do that, and it was pretty cool. You could change up the sound equalizer with Harman Kardon, even though, sorry, not Harman Kardon, Bowers and Wilkins, even though the car comes with Harman Kardon. So the Bowers and Wilkins sound profile was actually, in my opinion, a better sounding profile than Harman Kardon. But in iDrive 8.5, there's new hardware in the car. And I think the new hardware actually sounds better than the hardware in iDrive 8. So I don't even think you need this Bowers and Wilkins sound profile anymore. I have treble and bass all the way maxed out. I don't have the Logic 7 surround equalizer turned on. And in the equalizer, I have kind of a rock equalizer where the bass and the treble are turned up and then the mids are slightly turned up. So that's the profile I like. I listen to a lot of electronic and hip hop music, and I think this sounds amazing. Right now we've been driving with full comfort settings and 4-wheel drive. The valves are closed. I have a valve controller, and when you don't have a valve controller, you can never fully open or close the valves. It's always like 30% open when you try to when you press the exhaust button here, which is actually, before you get a valve controller, the exhaust button is actually what is BMW calls M performance sound. And when it's not green, that means the valves are closed. But before you have a valve controller, what valves closed means is like 30% open. And when you hit it open and it's green, that really means 70 to 85% open, but it's never fully open. So first mod I would really recommend for anyone getting these cars is to get a valve controller. It's like 300 bucks, and you can program your garage door opener to open and close the valve. So if I press this button here, the valves will open. And now this is actually the burble button, so you can tell that the valves are open. It's much louder now. If I turn the burbles off, there's no more burble now, but you can still hear that the valves are fully open. Now if I turn it off, back to quiet, downshift, can't even hear it. It's like a fully stock car. You can hear it a little bit, but it sounds so quiet, guys. Valves closed, and if you're in the full comfort settings, like I just pressed M1 twice to get back to the normal setup, which is fully comfort everything, it's so quiet. And that's the beauty of this car. It can go from like a massive beast of a race car to like a tame, you know, quiet luxury car. That's really the beauty of it. Oh, we got a classic 5 Series on the side of the road. Dang. So yeah, guys, I mean, valve controller is definitely one of the first mods I would recommend. What I would also recommend is the CS software flash from the Bimmer remote team. I'm going to link all the mods in the description. The CS flash is OEM software. You need a Windows laptop with an OBD cable that goes from OBD to Ethernet of your Windows laptop, and you just schedule time with the Bimmer remote team. It's about 230, 250 bucks, I think, and it takes 30 minutes to flash the car. And if you have a rear-wheel drive G80 or G82, you can get the CSL software. If you have an all-wheel drive G80 or G82, you can get the CS software. So that's steering, suspension, transmission, differential. It's a full suite of software that completely unlocks the best of this car, especially the transmission. So the 2025 models are actually locked on the transmission right now, so XHP isn't supported. I believe XHP will support it soon, but that probably will be 3 to 6 months out. But the CS software gives you a much better shifting experience, and you don't need to unlock the transmission or do anything like that. And it comes with the rest of the software, so I highly recommend it. I did do it on this car. The next thing I would recommend for these cars is a single mid-pipe. I prefer mastery of art and design. So if I was to tell someone like, okay, you know, you've got like $2,000 to spend and you want to modify your car right away, what would you do? I would say valve controller, single mid-pipe, and the OEM CS software. That will run you about $1,500. Okay, what else should you spend money on? If you don't want to lower the car, I would highly recommend, if you just want to do something to the suspension that increases the feel, it's called monoballs, front monoballs for the front tension arms. These are solid, essentially, monoballs that replace the rubber ones, and it completely eliminates what I consider the numb feeling in the steering, and it gives you basically precise feedback when you're turning the steering wheel. And I think that costs around $400. So all in, you're looking at $1,900 there for the front monoballs, the valve controller, the single mid-pipe, and the OEM CS software. That is a perfect way, I think, to start on the car if you want to spend $2,000 or less. If you want to move on to the suspension, I highly recommend a height adjustable kit instead of just a lowering spring. I went with the Cobra height adjustable suspension. I paid about 950 bucks for it. It's essentially a lowering spring with a perch, so you can adjust the car up and down. The Cobra height adjustable kit is the lowest I've found. It's also the smoothest. When you do lower the car extensively on a height adjustable kit, I highly recommend SPL's front adjustable outer tie rods. I think they're like $300. So now it's like another 900 on the adjustable height adjustable kit, 300 on the front adjustable outer tie rods. And while you're at it, you know, I recommend the SPL Race rear tow arms, because that will keep the car, it comes with an eccentric lockout kit, that'll keep the alignment of the car in check when you're driving it hard. I also recommend, on the more conservative side for spacers, 15 millimeters all the way around on the G82. And if you want to, like, you know, have a really nice stance, 20 millimeters all the way around. I went with a company called Bonos. They have forged active cooling spacers that are ridged, and they've taken out as much material as possible from the spacer to keep it as light as possible. So it's a really cool spacer. Everything is linked below. So with the spacers, the Race rear tow arms, the height adjustable kit, and the front adjustable outer tie rods, that is probably going to run you another, I would say, $2,000. So that's the first $4,000 you could spend on the car, and that would be OEM plus plus. Now, when you want to extract the most power from the car, that's when I would actually recommend doing a catless downpipe. And if you do the catless downpipe, I highly recommend, if you're not going to tune the car, getting 2 Big Daddy's Garage mini cats, which are essentially plug-ins to the bung of the catless downpipe, which will prevent the check engine light. That's what I have. So my car has the Mastery of Art and Design catless downpipes, the 2 Big Daddy's Garage mini cats. They're 50 bucks each, so that's 100 bucks. The downpipes were like 500 bucks, so that's just another 600 bucks, guys. I have the single mid pipe from Mastery of Art and Design. It's non-resonated, but it sounds amazing. I have the SST valve controller, which has been perfect. It fits right behind the trunk, underneath the muffler. You can tuck it in. I have the Bonos 20 millimeter spacers all the way around. I have the Cobra height adjustable kit, maximum low right now. I have the SPL front adjustable outer tie rods and the SPL Race rear tow arms with the eccentric lockout kit. And I have the OEM CS software on the car right now. So for me, this is like OEM plus plus plus. And the next thing that I could do is tune the car on MHD plus. So I'm waiting until late August. I want to get a bunch of footage before I tune the car, because it'll be down for like 10 days. And I want to get a bunch of footage on the side so that I can keep the uploads going while the car is down. Right now, horsepower wise, the 2025 M4 and M3 have 525 horsepower, which is an increase of about 20-25 horsepower from the 2024 model. With all the exhaust mods I have on the car, I also have the Mastery of Art and Design cold air intake in the engine bay. I highly recommend that for extra sound. It's a nice to have thing. I think that's also 500 bucks. I would say I'm probably around 550 to 560 horsepower. If I tune the car, I'll probably be pushing 600 wheel horsepower, which means, like, you know, almost 700 horsepower to the crank, which is crazy on 93 octane. And if I ran E85, like an E40 mixture, I'd be pushing 700 wheel horsepower, which is like 800 horsepower to the crank, which is just bonkers. If you tune on MHD plus, you can do flex fuel, which means you can run any mixture of 93 octane and E85. I would say don't go above like E40, E50. When you get above E40, E50, the car actually needs more fueling to make power. And that's when you go into port injection, which is adding additional fueling capacity to the car so that you can push more power. So port injection means you could go full E85, and at that point you're touching like 750, almost 800 wheel horsepower on the stock turbo, which is really the limit, I think, before you want to upgrade the turbos. If you get to that limit, the next thing realistically is to do a hybrid turbo setup with like a pure turbo, which has like a bigger turbine. It maintains a similar housing. It might be a little bit different, but it's not like a single turbo setup. It's using the same twin turbo setup, but swapping out the internals of the turbo to be slightly bigger. And that way you can start pushing 800 to 900 wheel horsepower. And then above that, of course, you get this big single turbo builds. So that's a pretty good rundown, I would say. I'm perfectly happy with where the car is now at like 550 horsepower without a tune. It's so fast. I would say the quarter mile time is probably like 10.5 seconds. The 60 to 130 is probably, I would say, like in the 9 seconds range right now. When you get the car tuned, like you can get it down to like the mid 5 seconds on E85, which is crazy. Actually, I'm being conservative. I think the 60 to 130 is probably in the 8 second range right now. Maybe even the high 7 second range. Only thing that like I haven't liked about the car, I would say, is, you know, fuel economy on the S58 when you drive it hard, you're gonna get like 14, 15 miles per gallon. But when you drive it really chill like I am now, or you use cruise control, you can get like 25 miles per gallon. So it really is how you drive the car. There's only a 15.7 gallon tank, fuel tank, so it's a pretty small fuel tank, and there's no way to get a bigger fuel tank. So that's a little bit of a bummer, I would say. But other than that, guys, the car is such a beast. Like an all-around, the best car you can buy, right around $100,000. This one was spec'd to $116,000. There's really nothing like it. So, you know, a car that can go from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, a car that is just ready for anything, drifting, drag racing, you know, a big trip on the highway to go on a trip with your friends or your family. There's so much space in the M4. You can fit so much in here. It's really unbelievable. I'd also say that, you know, if you want to track this car, this is a monster on the track. I brought it to Polecat in Tennessee. I've brought my previous G82s to AMP, Atlanta Motorsports Park, and I have also, you know, tracked my 991 GT3, which was a 2015 GT3, and a 2021 Supra. And of all those cars, this is my favorite. This is actually the favorite car I've ever owned, believe it or not. So we're coming up on some traffic, guys. I'm gonna cap the review here, and when it clears up, I'll turn it back on. All right, let's go. We have a sick classic BMW coming by. It is so nice. What up, brother? Looking good, man. Yo, you are riding so low, it looks great. You're riding so low, it looks so good. Oh yeah, man, that thing's beautiful. Oh yeah. Beautiful interior. Beautiful interior. Drive safe, brother. Take it easy. That's a sick M3, guys. He's on Bilstein coilovers. It's got that cinnamon red interior. It's gorgeous. Alright guys, it's clearing up, so I'll show you how easy it is to get this thing into its monster mode. You can't set it up in track when you're driving, you have to be stopped, so I'll go to sport, M1 twice, that's all my full sport settings. Turn the valves open, burbles are on. we got that sick M3 behind us, guys. We got bad weather ahead, so we're gonna take it easy. And that's how easy it is to just swap out of, you know, monster mode in terms of performance back to regular chilling. Valves off, M1 off, burble off, and now we are straight up just chilling again. Unfortunately, Waze does not come up on the center screen, but what you can do, which is pretty interesting, is you can have Waze running, and then you can go to CarPlay, and let's say we go to Apple Maps. I'm gonna set up the home route, and now you have Apple Maps here.
Sounds good, brother.
Thanks, man.
Sounds good.
I appreciate it. It's just a single mid pipe. Oh yeah, a single mid pipe and down pipes.
Yeah.
And these cars, you need a valve controller to open the valves fully.
Yeah. That thing sounds incredible, dude.
Do you have an exhaust on this thing?
No, I got a anti-ras pipe on it. That's
Yeah.
about it.
That's all you need.
Now I'm kind of lifting it.
Oh yeah.
Pushing too hard. The throttle sensors aren't positioned right.
Okay.
They go into limp mode.
I see. You still came up right behind me. I was like,
You were moving. I was just picking my spot. But yeah, I've got another one at home, same year and everything. It's a parts car.
oh yeah.
I told it about 6 years ago and then did a rebuild on it.
Oh sweet.
So it works out well.
Oh yeah.
The E46s, man.
It's classic, man. Yo, you drive safe, man. I think the weather's gonna get worse. So as you can see, guys, we now have Apple Maps up here, and at the same time that you have Apple Maps on this cluster, you can run Waze. So if you want to, you know, have the same route in 2 different maps going, you can get Waze with all the alerts, and then you can have Apple Maps for turn by turn over here. So we're definitely going to take it easy now with another thunderstorm. When we got to the car wash, there was a thunderstorm there. I thought we were in the clear on the way back, and here's another thunderstorm, guys. But yeah, guys, that's a very much in-depth review, I would say, you know, of the 2025 M4 Competition XDRIVE at 4,000 miles in. I'm gonna see if there's anything else that I can kind of tell you guys about the car. You can get Bimmer code as an app, and again, if you get an OBD to Ethernet cable, you can get an Ethernet to Lightning adapter, and then you can plug in your iPhone, or Ethernet to USB-C if you have a newer iPhone or Android. And using the Bimmer code app, you can change a bunch of settings in the car. So one thing you'll notice is I have red ambient lighting. That does not come with the car. You have to use Bimmer code to code that in. And when you code in ambient lighting, you have to pick a color that you're going to give up. So the color that I gave up is ivory. So ivory now is red. You can still pick other colors. You can see citron, for example. But ivory now is that red color. So there's definitely other options to go through. There's coral, flamingo, pearl, which is like a white, turquoise, emerald. That's pretty beautiful, and I'll just keep it an emerald for right now, because this weather is kind of crazy. This is the weather where it's okay to put your hazard lights on, because I literally can't see more than like 20 feet in front of me right now. But you're getting the full experience, guys. A little bit of, you know, sport driving when it's clear, and then just a chill drive back in a thunderstorm. Yeah, this is like flash flooding conditions. Atlanta does not really deal well with a lot of rain. Like, a lot of the streets flood, so we're definitely gonna take it easy on the way back. I really can't see much right now. Guys, I was gonna fix that windshield little chip that I have, but we need to wait for a sunny day because we need the sun to dry the resin after we fix it. So I'll do the how-to on fixing the windshield another day. This rain is just something else. So I'll keep this running as long as I can, guys, in terms of how much the memory card can store, so you can see what it's like to drive through these conditions. I mean, this has been a crazy past few weeks where it's always raining like this. There's a lot of standing water right here. Oh man. I am so glad I have an XDRIVE car right now. We'll just consider this an extra car wash, guys, with acid rain, but it's all good. I couldn't think of the generation of that M3, but I'm pretty sure it's an E46 M3, naturally aspirated, 300 plus horsepower with the inline 6. And those cars, man, ever since Need for Speed Most Wanted, when I saw an E46 GTR with a wing on it, I've always thought that was such a dream car. And they've held their value so well. The M3 and the M4 will stop production in 2027 from what I've understood. And I don't think there's going to be a new M4, guys. It'll just be an M3 for the next generation. It'll most likely be a hybrid. So if you can order a 2027 M3 or M4, preferably an M4, and even get it in manual, you might have a collector's car. Alright, I'll cap it here. I'll turn it back on if it clears up, guys. Alright guys, it is pouring. There's also lightning going on. This is a real summer thunderstorm in the south. I'm just glad there's no tornado. Or is there? I haven't seen the new movie Twisters, but I've been meaning to go. Apparently if you see it in that 4DX experience at Regal, it like spits water at you and the seats move around. Like, I don't know if I want to go through all that, you know what I mean, guys? But let's put the lighting back to red because I really like it with the interior. Everything looks good on the car with vehicle status. Put interior lighting and then change it back to that ivory, which is actually red. There you go. And guys, if you are wondering how my CarPlay maps are always dark, when you're in CarPlay, you hit this button here, go to settings, and appearance, always dark. And then always show dark maps, you toggle that on. And there you go, that's how you do it. Man, this is crazy, guys. I can see some light in the distance, so hopefully it clears up closer to the city. When you're driving in a lot of rain like this and you're coming over bridges or overpasses, that surface is going to be a different feel than the highway itself. So that's actually the place where you need to be the most careful. Sometimes that's where the standing water is. And that's where I've seen a lot of people wipe out, is when the surface actually changes from a highway to like a bridge or like an overpass. So it's a lot better over here, actually. Yeah, it's not too bad over here, guys. That was pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. Put this thing back into sport. All-wheel drive sport settings, open the valves, because just can't be driving around like a NPC all day. Get in front of this van. Again, right here, this type of bridge, this overpass, this is where the road would be normally slicker than the highway itself. And remember, guys, when you're driving like this on such a slick surface, your braking distance is going to be 2 or 3 times the normal braking distance, so just remember that. I have the burbles off right now. It is clearing up. That's Buckhead in the distance. Looks pretty sick. This should be a great video for you guys today. In-depth review at 4,000 miles of the 2025 M4 Competition XDRIVE. And on the next video, when it's sunny outside, I'll do the windshield repair with a do-it-yourself kind of setup on a how to repair, you know, windshield chip. Oh yeah, this is much better, guys. No, we had to hit that a little bit, right? Oh, there's a sick orange Corvette coming by. All right, burble's on now. Oh man, who's shooting? Much better, guys, much better. I'm gonna cap it here. Hopefully you guys loved today's video. All right, so much more content to come. Thank you again for hitting 10,000 subscribers. This channel is gonna only grow from here, and I'm so thankful for every one of you guys. All right, let's go.